now have a vivid sense of the true source of power in the swing. We're using the elements of coil, weight shift, and connection to create effortless momentum around the steady swing center. Now we're going to start moving into the next phase of the effortless golf swing, which is the addition of relaxed arms. So the fourth key is relaxed arm swing. We're going to move away from the lighthouse turn into the basic arc. I'm going to demonstrate the basic arc, and then we'll talk about how to do it. Okay? It's a half swing or a one lever swing. You'll notice as I wind up that the backswing position is very similar to the lighthouse turn position. I'll swing through, looks like a regular golf shot, and my finish position is almost identical to the lighthouse turn position. Watch that one more time. Now you shouldn't have any trouble doing this if you've got a good lighthouse turn. The additional action I'll demonstrate for you now. It was simply moving the arms, or the Y made by the arms in the club, from this position down to here and back up to here. We do that as the body winds up and unwinds. We're going to ask Michelle on, and we're going to teach Michelle how to do the basic arc, and hopefully you'll learn at the same time. Let's start without a club. Let's start with the lighthouse turn position. Michelle, would you give us a lighthouse turn wind up? All I'm going to do is ask Michelle to really relax her arms and make them very light, light as a feather, because the lighter the arms are, the faster they move. A tense muscle inhibits motion. If you tense your entire body, you won't be able to move. And the same is true in the golf swing. If you tense your shoulders and your arms, your body won't be able to swing them very quickly. Okay? So, I want your arms nice and relaxed in the Y. The triangle here can stay in shape, but it has to be light, light as a feather, because the next move now is strictly to drop the Y. You'll notice that Michelle drops her arms at whatever speed gravity dictates. She doesn't force them down, she doesn't pull them, push them, yank them, or shove them. They just fall straight down. Now if she gets some good coil pressure and her power plant creates some momentum, as those arms drop, the body will swing them. Okay, let's try that again. We'll do it together. So start to let your arms fly freely now. I don't care if your palms touch anymore. As long as you get coiled, let them fall, and create good arm speed with the momentum created by your power plants. Okay? We're going to put a club in the picture now so we can start to hit golf balls. That's going to require that we take a minute to talk about the grip. There are a lot of other tapes and books on the market, and you should have your own professional, so everybody should know how to grip the club. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, because I think our competitive edge is on other matters. However, I do want to make sure that Michelle is gripping the club properly, and I'm going to take a minute to outline a few key grip points for you. As you know, looking at it from this angle, as you know, the club is wedged under this pad in the hand and held by braced against the index finger of the left hand, and the left thumb is on the shaft. Now, you want to make sure that the leading edge and the club face align with the back of the left hand. When she brings her right hand in, the grip will be in the fingers. And I want to make sure that the palm of the right hand aligns with the palm of the left hand. The left thumb disappears, and the V here in both hands, or the line made by your thumb and your palm touching, points between the shoulder and the chin. Okay? Now Michelle has a nice grip here, because the back of her left hand, the palm of her right hand align with the club face, and they're square to the imaginary target. Something about grip pressure that I'm particularly concerned about for you is that your grip pressure remain constant. Some people prefer a firmer grip pressure, and some people prefer a lighter grip pressure. It doesn't matter that much to me which you use. I like a lighter grip pressure. However, if your grip pressure is a little firm, it's important to me that the tension doesn't travel into the wrist joint, which we'll talk about later. It's also extremely important to me that as you make this basic arc now, that your grip pressure remains constant throughout the swing. One thing that'll cripple an otherwise good swing is the sudden tightening of the grip pressure, either as you start to wind up or as you start to swing down. Okay? So maintain a constant grip pressure. I'm going to ask Michelle now to do a lighthouse turn with the club. She's got the proper grip, as you can see. And she has a Y. The triangle has now become a letter Y, with this being the straight side of the Y and this coming in at an angle. I'm going to ask Michelle first, before we do the basic arc, just to do the lighthouse turn with the club. Very nice. One more. Now, when Michelle winds up in the lighthouse turn again, you'll notice that all she has to do to start the basic arc is just drop the Y straight down. Now from here, I'm just going to ask Michelle to drop the club again, right into my hands. I'm going to ask you folks at home to do the same thing. Just drop that club. And as it drops, use that right pivot point, set the left pivot point, uncoil, and let that club sweep right through there, swung by the momentum of your power plant, okay? Everybody nice and relaxed? Go ahead. Boom. Is that a professional swing? Yes, it is. Let's see that again, Michelle. Drop it. You see, Michelle's creating effortless momentum. I think if she relaxed the arms a little bit more, and you folks at home relax your arms a little bit more, it's going to look even better. Let's see one more. I'm going to step up here and have a look. Nice and relaxed. Shift. Boom. Okay, try it again. Excellent golf swing. Michelle's just about ready to hit golf shots now with her basic arc after only 4 short lessons. But before we do that, we actually start hitting balls, it's important for us to understand what actually happens when the club hits the ball. What actually happens when a club comes down and makes contact with the ball is at the moment of impact, the club is on its downward arc. The angle of the club face and the grooves create backspin and impart backspin to the ball. The backspin causes the ball to rise, and the club continues down into the turf and takes a divot or a clump of grass out. So the idea that the ball and the club rise together is erroneous. A lot of players will try to hit the ball up by using the club head, and as a result they'll put topspin on the ball and they'll hit a ground ball. And the harder they try to hit the ball up, the more they hit it on the ground. So the important point to remember here is that you are hitting the ball, or actually the club head is hitting the ball as it passes through the ball position on its downward arc, and the actual lowest point of the arc is somewhere a few inches closer to the target than the ball is. Okay, Michelle's just about ready to hit golf balls now. She looks a little funny out on the driving range if she makes the lighthouse turn wind up every time we hit balls. So we're going to move Michelle down into the more natural stance position. This is easily accomplished. Michelle, would you turn around this way, please, so they can see? The folks at home can see us. As long as we have a slight tilt in the spine, we just lower the arms down from the shoulder joints. The arms just lower down into the club position, okay, to the ball position. You notice if you do this properly, that from where you're looking, you can see a little more of Michelle's left arm above the right. If your right arm is above the ball, you're going to tend to hit the ball over to the left, or you're going to hit a nasty little slice to the right. So as you look down at your arms, make sure that your right arm's a little bit lower than your left. Okay? Now, from this position, you'll notice that all Michelle did was lower her arms from the shoulder joint. There's no change in her grip pressure, no tension accumulated or anything else. And she's going to wind up now just like she did in the lighthouse turn, except that the club's going to be closer to the ground in the initial stages of the wind-up. It's still a coil motion in a setting of the right pivot point. So as Michelle starts to wind up, the Y will move in unison with her shoulder turn, and out as soon as the club starts to come in from the target line, then she'll lift it up to the lighthouse turn position. You notice if she does that, the leading edge is still perpendicular to the ground. Okay? So let's try that from a nice relaxed position. I can't emphasize strongly enough that the arms are light as a feather. There's no reason to tense them up. The club only weighs a pound. Okay? Let's try that wind-up position. Very nice. Very nice. Almost perfect. Not bad for a beginner. This would be perfect. Let's try that one more time. Very nice. Good. Now I hope you folks at home are nice and relaxed as you make this wind-up move. Go ahead and try the full swing now. Let the arms drop, the full basic arc. Let the arms drop down. Let the body swing them, nice and relaxed. Very nice, Michelle. Let's see one more of those. Hold the finish if you would. Shift. You'll notice that Michelle's knees are almost touching, the right foot's up in the air, and her hips are facing the target. Let's turn around this way and have a look at that from here. Okay? Not bad. I'm going to demonstrate that once for the folks at home, and then Michelle's going to hit a few shots, and we're going to see how much progress she made in 4 short lessons. Okay, from the relaxed position here, I'm going to use my torso to wind up like I always do. I'm in the basic arc position. Notice that coil is set. I've got that pressure on my right leg. I drop the club and swing through. We're back down on the lesson tee, or the practice range, for a mini lesson on the basic arc. I want to sum up the elements of the basic arc for you now. And after this lesson, I'm going to ask you to stop the tape and go out and practice the basic arc. In my opinion, the basic arc is about 80% of the golf swing. If you master the components of the basic arc, the full swing is a piece of cake. Okay? I'd like you to practice the basic arc until you can hit it consistently to a target. About 50 yards, somewhere between 10 to 50 yards. If you hit it any farther than that, you're probably working too hard with the upper body, okay? Even when you've finished the tape and you've got the swing down, whenever you go out to the driving range before your round, spend a few shots and waste maybe half your bucket with the basic arc to make sure your power plant is swinging your arms for you, okay? I'm going to go over the basic arc briefly, sum up the key points for you when you're making yours, and we'll cut in a few shots of me hitting balls with the basic arc. So you have a feedback system for you. First thing you want to be aware of and review now is that you get your coil pressure, make sure you complete your shoulder turn to a point above your right hip. And the second point is make sure you feel the pressure on your right pivot point, okay? If you're coiled up, chances are you're going to make a good unwinding motion and create some centrifugal force. So first, get the coil pressure. Second, feel yourself set the left pivot point by shifting your weight. Third, you can guess probably is, keep the arms relaxed, let them drop down to the finish of the swing, pose at the finish, and then when you finish your shot, unwind and face straight ahead and see if the club's still in front of you the way it was at the top of the backswing. Okay? The final thing, of course, is keep a steady swing center. If your swing center is moving a lot, you might miss the ball entirely. I'm going to hit one for you right now, and then we'll talk about some potential problems. If I unwind, you'll see the leading edge is still straight up and down. My arms and the wire still straight out in front of me. Okay? Now, if you're missing the ball outright when you try the basic arc, or you're topping it and hitting that worm burner that we talked about earlier, most likely your arms, especially in the shoulder area, are too tight and they're not dropping down freely enough in the downswing. The second problem may be your swing center is moving either up, could be coming up, or it could be moving back this way or even ahead of the ball. All of those can cause you to miss the ball or to top it. The third thing is you're just making too much effort with the upper body, okay, and that'll just ruin the swing, and it could cause any number of problems. If you're hitting behind the ball, in other words, the club's reaching the bottom of its arc behind the ball, that's called a fat shot. It looks like this. That wasn't too fat. Let's try another one. If you're hitting behind the ball, club head hits an inch or two into the ground behind the ball. We call that a fat shot.
you're hitting fat shots, it's usually one of two problems. Either you're rushing the arm motion down before you have time to make a weight shift so that the bottom of your arc is moved back behind the ball, or you're not creating any coil pressure in the first place. You're not wound up and you're not setting your left pivot point. So check again first to see, am I rushing my arms or am I failing to make a good coil if you're hitting behind the ball. If your swing center is moving and you're out of position and every shot is different, most likely you're too tense with the upper body. If you learn to just let the arms, again, just drop, it's hard to believe how freely they can drop in a good basic arc. If you do that, chances are you'll get consistent very quickly. Now I'm going to ask you, again, shut off the tape, go out in the backyard, go to the driving range, hit the wiffle balls in your living room, whatever, but build a basic arc before you go on to the next lesson. Thanks.